Hi everyone. Today I'm going to be going over the area size tool within the Baumer Verisens software. So if you go on this check features tab, you go to add, and then you go to feature comparison. You're going to click here on the area size, and it's going to let you draw a rectangle over any area that you want, and you're going to be counting the number of pixels that are above or below a certain threshold of brightness within that area. So in this case, you can see that it's counting the number of pixels that are dark on bright. So it's counting the number of dark pixels above this threshold here. And this threshold, again, is on a range from 0 to 255, where you can see if you go all the way down here to white, pure white is 255, pure black is 0. So it's going to be somewhere in between there. And you can see as I'm moving this, you can see that it's picking up more and more pixels or less and less pixels based on that threshold. So if I move it way up here, that threshold is going to be really high. So it's picking up any pixels darker than this. And if I move it down here, it's only picking up anything darker than here. So it got less pixels to pick up. So you can see how that works. This, of course, again, is your threshold, your upper and lower limits. So anything between these two red lines is considered good. Anything outside those two red lines would be considered bad. And you can play around with that to match your specifications. So this, again, is your threshold. If you were, let's say we were looking for bright pixels, suddenly that flips around. So now it's looking for anything above this threshold. Again, if you're looking for the dark ones, it's looking for anything below. So that's how you flip-flop that, and that's what this threshold is. If you go here to the method, this is looking for the amount of blobs. So a blob is a contained, well here, let me go to a different image and I'll show you. Let's go to this image here. And let's reduce this box to this area here. And we're looking for dark blobs. We'll zoom in. And you can see that it's picking up, whoops, sorry. In the orange area here shows what it's seeing as dark pixels. So it's picking up, this area, this area, this area, all these areas, and it's adding them all up to give you the total area of in pixels. So 442 pixels is the entire area of all the dark pixels within this box. You can see how that changes if I move the box around. So this method, it's using all areas, but let's say we only wanted to count the biggest blob, and that's what you could say only largest continuous area. And now you'll see an X over what it's seeing as the largest blob within that rectangle. And you can see how it dropped to 56. So when we were using all areas, it was 442 because it was counting every single one of these blobs up and adding them all together. If we're only going for the largest one, it's only counting this one. So now it's at 56 because it's only counting that. And there's one other feature here, which is exclude truncated areas. A truncated area is one that is not fully enclosed. So a truncated area would be something like this up here on the top right, where this box is cutting out half of it. So this might actually be the biggest box. So you can see this would be the biggest box. If I move this over here, now it's extending outside of this rectangle, but it's still the biggest box. If I click exclude truncated areas, suddenly that is no longer considered within as a blob within this rectangle because it's excluding it because it extends outside that. It's only going to look at blobs that are fully enclosed by white areas. So that's what this uh, little button does. Reference area. So similar to the brightness tool, this tool has a reference area. You can train it in somewhere. and this would only be used if your lighting is varying. So if, for different images, sometimes your light is a little brighter than for your other images, this will allow the tool to self-adjust. So this should be placed somewhere where the color will stay the same every time. And if the software picks up that, this area got a little darker, then it's going to adjust your threshold as well for that. So that way you can kind of adjust for varying lighting. And that's really all there is to this tool. Again, you can change that from a circle to a rectangle to different types of shapes. I typically stick with rectangle. You can track the position, which is just fixturing it off of a search tool, which is useful. So if your part moves around on your image, this will move along with it. But yeah, that's really all there is to this tool.